This episode of the Concierge CPA is brought to you by Tax Plan IQ. Check it out, y'all. And we are now going to be featured on Earmark CPE. So our episodes will get you an hour of CPE credit by listening on the Earmark app. Thank you so much, Earmark, for adding us there. Welcome to the Concierge CPA. I'm Jackie Meyer, founder of the Concierge Accountant Program and Tax Plan IQ software. This is a podcast for accounting firm owners and influencers who are pursuing world-class service. We discuss their path to excellence, their daily habits, and what influences them and their work. We believe that every person has a unique message that can positively impact the world. Stick around till the end of the show. We'll reveal how you can be our next guest. Let's go, y'all. Welcome to the Concierge CPA podcast. I'm your host, Jackie Meyer, or Dr. Jackie Meyer CPA. I have Susan Bell with me here today. She is co-founder and CSO of Vertical IQ. Welcome, Susan.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. So tell me, what is Vertical IQ? And then we'll kind of deep dive a little bit about your story and how you got here.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks. Well, Vertical IQ is an industry research platform really created for call preparation and background on industries so that trusted advisors have a place to go online to learn about the most recent developments, the current conditions, risks, trends, opportunities in all kinds of hundreds of industries, as well as local economic areas, so that you're better advising. You have the background that you need to advise your clients.
Okay, cool. So give me an example of, let's say, Bob Jones is the advisor. What would he be hopping into Vertical IQ to do? And at what point in the engagement and that kind of thing?
Sure, absolutely. It's actually used pretty much throughout the whole client engagement journey.
Okay.
You would probably, Bob is an advisor. He probably has clients in multiple industries unless he specializes. And so that means he's agnostic to industry. So while Bob might have the skill set, if he's an advisor, say he's an accountant, he's a banker, he's an insurance advisor, or any of the above, that skill set of advising in those things, he's got it. He's the expert, but he may not know what the ins and outs are of doing business within certain industries, right? So if you're going out and talking with your clients, and your client, A, that you're dealing with in the morning is a dry cleaner, and at noon you're meeting with a pharmaceutical company, and then a physician's office in the afternoon. They're all very different. They operate in different industries, in different segments. So you're going to do a little preparation, learning about what's new, asking really good questions, which Vertical IQ helps provide those. Oh. But using this all the way through the client engagement means that, the next time you meet with them, you have more in-depth questions. You might do peer-to-peer comparisons on their financials. You might have a reason to look at additional things that you hadn't talked about the first time because you did a little more research.
Okay. So would you say that it includes like benchmarking data? So you've got a dentist as a client. What are dentists that size doing out there? That's really, really valuable information.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can even slice and dice it and filter it for the size of the company. And we use RMA data for the financial benchmarks, but it's even forecasting information and all kinds of really valuable things that it would take a really long time for each advisor individually to try to do those things for every client on an ongoing basis and keep it up to date. So we do the heavy lifting for them.
Awesome. Now, are you seeing this typically included as part of like a CAS offering, or is this a new advisory engagement, or how are people kind of packaging this into their service offerings?
So that's a great question. And CAS is certainly a no-brainer. But, you're definitely agnostic. You have a lot of different industries that you're working in. But, talk about in an accounting firm, you have folks in audit that should be learning about the industry, your business valuation. They have to, every engagement that they get, they've got to not only understand what's happening at that time period for that industry, but also sometimes even the local area, and they can't use current information. They have to go back in time. So all of those types of things are available. In addition to the marketing teams, I mean, there's a lot of use. If you have specialization in any industries, it's a really great place in multiple practice areas for accounting, as well as in banks, insurance, anybody really advising that has that type of a role with their clients.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you mentioned that before, but I didn't quite put two and two together. So this isn't necessarily just for accountants or financial advisors. It's for anyone that wants to analyze the financial health, so to speak, of their client.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And really any salesperson too, that really wants to get an edge and wants to educate themselves before making, a sales call. They have to understand and really stand out from the pack. That helps them. A lot of times people will go to LinkedIn or they'll go and learn about the company or the person that they're calling on, but they don't put the whole picture together of what are the drivers and indicators in the industry, as well as the buyer and supplier relationship industry. So when you get a full picture of what's happening and what that business owner or CFO or whoever you're talking with is dealing with on a regular basis, think about the value you can provide right off the bat.
That's pretty amazing. Exciting. I like it. And how does it get the financial data?
So our sources are many. The financial data comes from RMA, Risk Management Association. You may be familiar with them. Yeah.
And on I guess from the client perspective, does it integrate with QBO and that kind of thing, or?
Yeah, so we have an API that you can use and integrate however you really want to. So CRM systems, any kind of
nice,
like a loan origination system. Yeah, you can do that, but we have pre-built ones as well. So say you're using Salesforce, we have an integration there.
Wow, that's really cool. So y'all have been around a little while, since 2010, you said. Tell me about the beginnings of this company, and being a co-founder must have been really exciting. And kind of what your big goals have been and where you are now. That was a lot packed in. So we'll start with 2010 and then maybe go backwards and then maybe go forward. We'll see.
Yeah, that's probably the way I should do it, because 2010 happened because two other co-founders, Bill Walker, who leads our research department, and Bobby Martin, who is our CEO, we all we were part of a company before 2010 called First Research. And started that. Bobby Martin started that in 1999. Wow. We sold that company in 2007 to Dun & Bradstreet. It's an offering as a part of Hoover's now. We sat on the sidelines a few years and started again with a similar tool, which is Vertical IQ. But even prior to 1999, Bobby Martin and I were bankers together in Wilmington, North Carolina, where I live today still, and he's in Raleigh. But we were in our 20s in the 90s, running around Wilmington, North Carolina. He was a commercial banker. He banked the business. I banked the principles of the business. Okay. But we worked together in tandem, and when we lost business, we thought we were young, but we still went to think, why did you go with our competitor, BB&T or First Citizens, whatever it was? Yeah. And the owner of the business would say, we had a couple of them say similar things. One was, there's this one guy, his name was Sam, and he was really good. And they said, he knows a lot about our business. He asks really good questions, and he comes off as really smart. And so there was something to that. Mm-hmm. And to ask really good questions was the piece that really stuck with us. And that's the part of originally First Research and then Vertical IQ that really got us going, is if you can ask pointed questions and sort of know the answer to that question. It's bad to ask a question and not have any idea what the answer should be, because then you don't know if they're telling you something completely off base or there's a red flag or something. So we started First Research that way. And so I've worked with Bobby. He's my work husband, I guess you could say, for more than 30 years. Yeah. But starting Vertical IQ, I am a co-founder here and started the sales department. But the big thing there was we had previous customers that came to us and said, would you do it again? And do it from a cash flow perspective. Ooh. From financial perspective, yeah. So what our data shows is all the academic, here's what's happening in an industry, and here's the financial benchmarks, but also where do they have trouble with cash flow? How do they, sell and then collect and manage their cash, pay, report? What do the KPIs look like? That's really different. So it's got a financial perspective. So that was kind of just
okay. That reminds me, we at Tax Fund IQ, we're all assigned reading right now a book called The $100 Million Journey by John St. Pierre. And he says, cash flow is king or queen. So you can pick whether you want it to be king or queen, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, that is really, really vital to any company. You can be so overly focused on the gross, margins or revenue figures. But at the end of the day, you need to know that those nets, and you need to know what kind of cash flow you have. So you're looking at all that, which is really, really beneficial. That's awesome. Tell me a few more tips around how people are using Vertical IQ to really up level their practices or kind of stand out compared to other banks or accountants or whatever.
Yeah. So we'll talk about accountants. That makes sense. So a lot of firms are using us. I mentioned briefly about marketing. So it all kind of starts with the marketing. Of course, your skilled labor folks are going to go in and use it because they need to do benchmarking and they need to understand those types of things. But it starts with marketing because they can use the content to show their expertise. So in digital, out on making thought leadership posts in LinkedIn, for example, creating even old school mail campaigns, but being very specific. If you're trying to attract dental practices, what are they dealing with? Show your expertise of how you can help them. So you're bridging the gap between the issues they have and how your firm's going to help them. So it's really putting the focus on, we know about this. And so we can build the trust that way. We bring in the business, we win the business because we care about your business. So it really does start in marketing and business development. And, and I don't mean to put aside audit, tax, all the other areas, because it's so important that if you're dealing with any client, you should know about their industry and you should understand, how do I benchmark what's going on with my client against their peers? So all of that, is certainly available for them. And it's really good to ask really good questions. One of my big things that I try to coach when I'm dealing with new clients is, how curious is your team? Curiosity is really, really important. If you and it's not going through the motions. It's more like, I know what I'm doing, right? I've done this for years. I know how to do this. But what if you ask one more question and some kind of light bulb moment because you asked that question?
I love that. Yeah, I'm all about that. When it comes to tax advisory, which is my jam, you have to just be so curious and passionate and why? What's going on here? Let's dive more into this, or get that gut feel around something. So it sounds like, you advocate for a similar thing here, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And we help guide you to what questions make sense. Okay. Right. Yeah. And not only what questions make sense, we have a list in each industry of 30, 40 questions you can potentially ask, but we have the average answer underneath of it, because again, it's terrible to ask a question you sort of don't know the answer to. And it really does alert you to red flags, or, I need to ask one more question because that doesn't sound typical.
Sure.
And even when it's uncomfortable and when you're sitting there and you think you've asked a million questions, ask one more.
Okay.
And that will,
that's great advice. I love it. Okay. So fast forward, we're now 14 years later after the founding of Vertical IQ. What all have you accomplished so far, and what are you looking forward to accomplishing from here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have hundreds of customers and tens of thousands of people using Vertical IQ.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been fantastic with really marquee accounts, that names you guys would know for sure in all of those worlds, banking and financial planning and insurance and accounting. But also one big thing that's happening with us, and we've been put a lot of oomph behind in the last few years, is partnerships. And so we have a lot of those integrations, but also data partnerships. Also, we have folks like Amy Vetter. That's how we met.
Yeah, that would be my next question. So yeah, we can dive into that too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's a fantastic thing to be, to have those partnerships, to refer business back and forth with each other and trust that you're the best in class in Amy's tech stack, for example, or like S&P Global is one of our resellers. And we have a relationship with them and they trust our industry data. And so we align and integrate with a lot of their tools. And so that's been a really big push for us or an emphasis, I should say, in the last couple of years. So going from a couple of customers to really big marquee accounts and growing the data that we have and growing our partnerships.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And how big is your team there?
So we have less than 50 people that are full-time employees on the team. We do a lot with very few people. So we have a lot of folks in development and the research, and of course then sales and marketing and our other team members that make it all happen in our finance and HR departments as well. But yeah, we do it with less than 50 people on board.
Awesome. Yeah. So give me an elevator pitch of Amy Vetter. We're both in her tech stack, which is so amazing. She's essentially going around the country or internationally telling people about tools that she loves to use. And we're both in that together. That is how we met. How would you describe that program and, the benefits that it's brought to the table for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, as well as I do, Amy is so well known and well respected in the industry that it's an honor to be a part of the best in class tech stack. I think the benefit is she does a fantastic job of saying, this is the day in the life of an accounting professional, of a CAS operator, and these are the tools that make sense for you to use, and here's why. So if nothing, she just is super calm and explains it so well. She's well respected and is an accountant, so she does a great job of just saying, this is how you do it. These are the tools you need, and just lays it out really perfectly in her little circle of tech stack that I like her slides that she shows. So I think it's just it makes sense. It totally makes sense, and they all kind of work together.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Yeah, I had forgotten about that exercise she took us all through where she's essentially showing like, okay, at this point in their day, they would use vertical IQ for this, and then they would use tax one IQ for this. And I was like, I would have never thought about putting it together like that, but it's so practical. So yeah, it's a lot of fun for sure. So tell me more about co-founding a SaaS company after being a banker. So, I mean, I have similar background in regards to going from a technical CPA firm to getting into software. And then, of course, we're female founders, which is unique in our field. How has that experience been for you?
Well, honestly, the whole team and the culture of Vertical IQ makes it easy. Awesome. So like I said, I've been working with Bill and Bobby for such a long time, and we've brought other folks in as well. But we have this knack for hiring people we know typically in the beginning and when we're starting. So, and building a culture of folks that we know will fit with it's not a bank sale. Like I'm in charge of sales. It is. So just to say we should go and hire a bunch of bankers or a bunch of accountants because they can explain it. I'm kind of saying the opposite of what I just said because Amy does such a great way of being practical about how the tech stack works. But it's really, it's not that. You have to have a different mindset. It's a growth mindset, but we also have what we all call a growth lifestyle business. So we all understand that we're not going to work 8,000 hours a week. We know there's not 8,000 hours in a week, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We're going to work smartly. Well, I didn't want to say 80 or 90 or 100. I mean, there might be people that are doing that and it's just fine, but we're not going to do that. We're going to work smart. We're going to work hard, but we're going to maintain a culture. So we have the 3 C's. I'm going to go back to, I'm kind of jumping around here and I apologize, but
that's okay. No, this is great. I love it. Let's hear the 3 C's.
The 3 C's are culture, then customer, than company. And that's how it matters. Like if we keep a really good culture, our folks will do the right thing for our customer, and then our company will benefit from that. So it's kind of a different mindset. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily like we are bootstrapped and organically grown. We have never taken any private equity. It's just not how we've grown our company in that. So being a female founder, that was important to me, is the culture and the right people and getting behind the product and having a say of where our product goes in the development, what we need, and having a seat at the table, and having the right people at the seat at the table to make decisions and things. So it's been a great experience. And I wasn't a founder at an early age. I mean, I was in my 40s when this happened. Some folks,
that doesn't discount it whatsoever.
No,
You're still amazing either way.
I mean, I had some experience to know what I liked and what I didn't like about.
Okay, I see. So you feel like that gave you a little bit more of a competitive edge. Mm-hmm. I like that. Okay. Very cool. And so what does the future look like? It sounds like you're obviously being a lifestyle brand. You aren't necessarily going to become the next like Fortune 100 company, but what are your goals? What are your big goals? Well, what's your mission?
I guess I should say, don't discount the fact that we're also a growth company, but we're a balance of lifestyle and growth.
Okay.
We definitely are growing, and we're adding to our team, and we're adding to our client base, and we have no intention of quitting or selling or anything. We really are on track to do exactly what we want to do with us. So I think the next thing will be additional partnerships, additional growth in our team, additional potentially different industries that we'll break into. So one of the things that we haven't really talked about is our customization. So we have a banking specific site. We have accounting advisory specific site. We have an insurance site. So as we grow, we get content and pull content in that makes sense for that particular industry. So as an example, for our bankers, we partner with Barlow Research to be able to show bank product usage and banking solutions. So we tie specific solutions that make sense for somebody that operates in a specific industry and why. Okay. So as we do that, I see that's where our growth is. We're going to go deep and wide, if you will.
Awesome. Okay. I love it. And you mentioned an interesting keyword, I think, before we started recording, which is the fact that you really feel like you're a great trusted advisor. And that's a unique statement to say in the software industry, because you think of tech, right? You don't think of trusted advisors. We think of accountants as trusted advisors, but you have such an interesting perspective on that. Tell me more about how you're that trusted advisor to people.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So it is one of our differentiators is that we have folks on our team, and not just on our sales team, but throughout our company, that are former bankers, former accountants. Our CFO is an accountant. I shouldn't say a former accountant. He is a CPA.
Okay. Yeah, full force, full load, still accountant. I'm a former
banker. I no longer am in banking, but you know what I'm saying. In a previous life, they were in a trusted advisor role, and we've hired them, and we're still trusted advisors. So I think we have a different perspective when we go to market and we talk to our clients and our prospects about. I'll give you a better example. Our trainer is a former banker, and she can put on her banking hat when she trains folks and says, when I was in banking and I did this is how I used it. Yeah. And she's done a really great job of learning but she was in that trusted advisor role. So she's done that with accounting, and she's done that with insurance and all the other, in the other industries and verticals that we work in. Mm-hmm. But once you're in that role and you understand how that works and what you have to do, being curious, asking the right kind of questions, knowing where to go to find answers, that, doing your homework, all of that comes naturally to you. So I think it's a little different perspective than your typical sales marketing type folks.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to having that technical expertise in the sales roles. We just hired a CPA as one of our business development people, and she is killing it. Shout out to Madeline James. But, she had been there, done it. And now she's able to, I mean, really, that is the connection. She's still that trusted advisor while she's looking at if the software product is a good fit for this potential client, right? And that's really win-win.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's not unusual to see other software companies that fix a certain problem or solve for something to hire someone that was in there. I have a friend that's in software that is a former teacher, and it's software for schools. So,
cool.
I mean, that makes sense. You're a trusted advisor in a different way, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Now, there have been a lot of apps over the years that have claimed to do this benchmarking data and whatnot. I had not tried Vertical IQ. I'll have to try it. But other ones I've tried, you get in and you end up a little disappointed because you can't customize the size of the company, like you mentioned, or like very nitpicky things that really just kind of make the data obsolete. How do you feel like you stand out? I mean, other than what I just said, which is the fact that it sounds like you can tweak a lot of minute details. How do you stand out in this kind of competitive marketplace right now?
Yeah, so there is customization that you can do. It's not so specific as you're probably wanting. It's like you can say, what's the revenue size? And there's buckets that you can put it in. So it's not exactly, type in a number and there it is. But yeah, you can it's hard. That's hard data to come by, honestly. But yes, you can customize, but you can get so specific as to, hey, I'm working with, I'll go back to, a florist, whatever it is. And they are in Louisville, Kentucky. And I want to know not only all the benchmarking and what the risks are and what the opportunities are, I also want to know, like, what's employment look like there? What wages are they greater than or lower than in the US average or in their other local areas? Is this a good spot for them to expand, or should we look at a different area? How many florists are there per 100,000 people in Louisville, Kentucky? Wow. That type of information, it's like takes an extra step. It's not only your hardcore data numbers, but also like, I should be thinking about if I'm going to advise this company, they're looking to expand, they want to buy a business that's in this local area. I need to know what that area is doing. What industry is growing there? What's declining? What does the population look like? What does real estate look like? What's real estate forecast information? Like, can people afford to live there? Would we be able to hire people there? So there's a lot of great detailed information like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, something that comes to mind for me is you've got a client in California and they're saying, I have to hire local, we have to be in person, but you happen to know that in North Carolina, wages are way lower. And so going remote might save them, 30-40% to hire remote if they're able to do that. And so there's just so many avenues you could go down advisory wise to help that client out.
That's the biggest thing. And doing that prep or being able to have a tool that does that heavy lifting for you. And in an instant, you can go and you've got the information and you can share it with them. That's the beauty of it too. I mean, you can co-brand it, put your logo on there, powered by Vertical IQ, and here's a report. So yeah, it's really great information for an advisor.
Yeah, awesome. Now, are you seeing a change in the accounting industry, and I guess let's call all the financial industries? Are you seeing people embracing advisory more over the past few years? Tell me about that. What are you seeing there? Are you seeing a dramatic increase in people realizing they need to bring this to the table?
Yes, I think it is dramatic. And I think, well, in accounting, I mean, it's been the last several years, every accounting conference I go to, I mean, it's value pricing, value opportunity, and advisory is attached to that. So
but how, right? Everyone's like, but how do I do this theoretical thing? And you're actually giving them that solution.
Yeah, I mean, you can set yourself up for such great advantage and really differentiate yourself by using tools like this and making yourself the person to go to that knows everything about my industry, can do all of the advisory things. So Amy says it best. I know you know what I'm going to say, but she says, you're not a trusted advisor. Shoot, you better be trusted. You're working with my money, right? You need to be a cherished advisor.
Yeah.
Because They don't know what to do without you. And that's her term, not mine, but I use it all the time because it's so true. If they say, they could go to their banker, they could go to their accountant, their insurance, any of the above, their attorney, who do they go to? Because they're giving the best advice. You can be that person and you've got the tools that can get you there. It's how you differentiate. It's all going towards that in banking, in insurance. It's how you differentiate from the pack.
Yeah. What would be really neat, if you haven't already done this, which maybe you have, but kind of case studies around how like customer NPS scores are higher in companies that are using tools like yours, or how they're able to price higher, 10, 20% higher. Do you hear those kind of stories and feedback from clients?
Yes, we do have clients. In fact, a lot of times, this is funny that you asked that. A lot of times people will try before they buy, sort of a thing where they'll say, we're just this group we're going to do it with. And then they find out, oh my gosh, we won one new client and here's how we stood out. And it was even if they can attribute 30% or 50% to using Vertical IQ or a tool like that.
Yeah.
We'll tell them, oh, you guys told us this and that's why we're going. Bringing that one new client on brought so much, revenue to the firm. Now they want everybody using it. So it worked. It definitely is the case. And you're right. We do need a case study on that.
That would be really neat. I love it. Okay, cool. I know you do have an ebook that you've recently released, and we're going to include that in the show notes. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's called The Ultimate Guide for Winning Clients and Delivering Value. And it's so easy to read. It's like basically 15 things. Like number 8 is understand the inner workings of an industry's operations, trends, and potential risks before a client purchases a business within a niche. Okay. And it's just like, how do you here's the why, here's how you do it, and here's the benefit for you. So it's just 15 things you can do and how you can find those things in Vertical IQ. So we'll definitely share that.
Awesome. Yeah. I know our listeners and viewers will love to get their hands on that. Tell me a little bit more about, I like to ask pretty much every guest because I'm an avid reader. Mm-hmm. What is a favorite book of yours? What is one that you would recommend to anybody hands down and why?
Okay. So I love to read, but I'm confessing, I mostly read, historical fiction. I love it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
My nose is usually in a book there, but I will say I haven't started this yet, but I just got the Jolt Effect.
Okay.
Remember, I'm in sales. So this is like the guys that wrote Challenger Sale.
Yeah.
This is something that I'm about to start reading, the Jolt Effect. It's sitting on my desk. It needs to be in my face, not on my desk, but there are many. I like to look at biographies of, business women. So I'll look at like
that's interesting. We could have a whole episode on that. So tell me more. Like, who's a businesswoman that you really like?
Yeah. I mean, there are folks, and sometimes it's not even a book. Sign up for the newsletter. Like that is one of the coolest things. Eventually these folks will write a book, right? So there's a woman. Are you familiar with Cody Sanchez?
That sounds familiar. Is she big on social, like LinkedIn? Okay, yes, I did come across. She's an investor and owns like private equity firm or something like that.
She has a company called Contrarian Thinking.
Okay.
So this is my shout out. So we also work with Contrarian Thinking. So just know that. But Cody is Codie Sanchez, and she's one of those women that kind of describes herself in this way, that she's a square peg in a round hole. She worked on Wall Street, didn't work for her. Mm-hmm. She had to do her own thing. She taught herself how to buy a business with very little money, put an operator in it, stand back, let it go, and go on to the next one.
That's a lot of stuff to learn very quickly, probably. Yeah.
And she's sharp as a tack, and she's got the Contrarian Thinking is a newsletter. I would follow her on Instagram or get her newsletter because she's really, really smart and she teaches a lot of people. She's got millions of followers. Yeah. I'm not exaggerating there, but she really does teach you. Like her first business was a coin operated laundry, and she's like, it's one of the best businesses you can buy. And here's why. So anyway, it's not totally on your scope of trusted advisor, but she does teach women and men, but all people, how to grow wealth in a way that you don't have to come out of pocket
Awesome.
right away.
Okay. I'm going to jot that down because we want to make sure and include that in the show notes and that I spell it right. I love it. Okay. Anyone else that comes to mind that you're a fan of?
I follow a lot of folks on LinkedIn that help me sell more. So there's a company called Social Sales Link and a woman named Bryn Tillman that teaches you how to use LinkedIn really well to be connected. To me, is one of my favorite tools is LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where you can make or break relationships. I travel a lot, I go to conferences, and it's so easy just to connect with people and forget them.
Mm-hmm.
Bryn teaches you how to not connect and forget, how to connect and add value. And Vertical IQ actually helps you add value in LinkedIn. If you can send an article, send something that, you can attribute to something you wrote or somewhere else.
Sure.
Something that they're interested in, that really can start conversations for you on LinkedIn. So I would also recommend Bryn and Social Sales Link.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I was really impressed with that association you put together earlier of just for marketing purposes to utilize your tool. I wouldn't have thought of that, but it's like, duh, of course you'd want to do that. I mean, that really makes you stand out. Or general social media posts to show that you're an expert in that market. We've got ChatGPT and all these things, but you're not quite sure if those sources are accurate. And so we know that y'all have the vetted material. How is AI coming into play with your product and the marketplace? How do you see it? Do you think it's going to be a competitor? Do you think that you'll integrate it and just kind of go even further with it? How do you seem to look at that side of things?
Yeah, time will tell on what we do with AI right now. The kind of work that we do, I mean, think about it. There are folks using this in underwriting loans. You have to have verified sources.
Yes.
You cannot just wing it, right? So no, I had somebody ask me this morning, I had coffee with a gentleman at a bank and he's like, well, so are you just scraping AI stuff? And I'm no. No, this takes a lot of time, effort, and money to put together.
Yeah, that's almost insulting in a way. I read a statistic recently that people are actually, now that we're a year plus into all this natural language processing AI and whatnot, people are less trusting of an app or source if you say that you're running on AI because of the inconsistencies that come along with it, right?
Exactly. So no, we're not. I mean, the first step into AI will be being able to use large language model within Vertical IQ so that you can easily chat and say, show me what's happening in this location.
Oh, that would be really cool.
That kind of a thing within our sources, within our application. Mm-hmm. That'll be the first step.
Okay. I like that idea.
Jury's out on the rest.
Okay.
Right now.
Got it. Yeah. Awesome. Anything else that you want to share about the product or your background or anything that we haven't discussed? I think we got a really great breakdown of how it all came together. I'm excited to see where you go from here. But yeah, anything else that you'd like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really happy to, anybody that has any interest, check me out on, of course, I have one of the most common names in the world, Susan Bell, but just Susan Bell Vertical IQ on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, happy to show you anything. And I think it's just, people that talk to me, my friends, they'll say, oh, this should sell itself. No, it really does. We have to show the value here, but there's so much to it. I don't want anybody to ever get what I call, analysis paralysis. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
And it can be. And I want to be able to say, no, look, it's really simple. You can use as much or as little as you need to on this. It's a lot there, but it doesn't have to be a lot. So yeah,
I like that.
And it's written in layman's terms. So the purpose is to share it with your clients. Mm-hmm. It's great for you, the data, you understand all of that, but it's also something you can package and say, here you go. This is really helpful to you as the business owner.
Nice. Yeah. So do you think, or have you ever hosted your own conference? Have you thought about doing that in the future? I mean, you'd have some really interesting, I think, community aspects that people would love to chat about.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So that is the talk. So we're thinking about a user conference. And so
That'd be
that
fun.
yeah, that would be like get together different industries, different areas, and we host them maybe even in Raleigh where our headquarters are or somewhere else, and just do a day or half a day even to start, just to
Yeah.
start thinking about what's next. What would you like to see? We do that anyway. We have customer surveys and do that kind of thing. But I think it's great to get people in a room and talk about that and see where that might be, where we might be headed. So
Yeah.
yes, that would be something. And we could have folks like you come and talk about, about something that's specific to
Yeah, it would
a
be interesting to hear
a
what's
tech
going
stack.
on with other people, but also, yeah, add some value to the discussion and whatnot. I actually am about to re-release this entirely new pricing method for our industry to value price work, and it's a true calculator. And so I could see being like, okay, here's the value you're bringing to the table by using vertical IQ. Here's how you can price it. And so, yeah, there's something there that would be really fun for us to dissect a little bit more. What
That's good.
conferences can we see you at next? What's like your favorite ones to go to?
Well, for accounting, I personally love AIM, the Association for Accounting Marketers. That's a great spot to for me to network with the folks there. We love AICPA Engage. We are members of M&A Source, so we're there a lot. And of course, all the banking conferences. We're at Small Business Banking in Las Vegas, and next week I'll be there.
Okay.
We do payroll conferences. We'll do all different kinds of conferences like that. I know credit union conferences. We're all over the place. So
Nice.
constantly
Okay.
traveling for those. Yeah.
And so is it as simple as verticaliq.com to come check y'all out? Okay,
Sure
awesome.
is.
And then you can find you on LinkedIn or any of those kind of platforms. Reach out. Sounds like you're more than willing and able to help out with any Q&A if people have questions.
1,000%. We're happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. This was a lot of fun and wishing you so much success with your continued journey with Vertical IQ. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you so much, Jackie.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Concierge CPA, hosted by Tax Plan IQ. We believe that every person has a unique message that can positively impact the world. If you are a successful accounting firm owner or influencer who would like to be on this program, please visit JackieMeyerCPA.com, JackieMeyer CPA.com to apply. Please share this on social media and rate us so we can continue our good work. Join our Facebook group called Accounting Firm Influencers, or connect with me on most platforms under Jackie Meyer CPA. Thanks for being accountable to transforming our industry today.